Have you ever spent wasted time copy-pasting things between Jira and Confluence? And how much smoother would your work life be if these tools just spoke better together? That's what I'm here to talk to you about. I saw a statistic that 76% of teams that were Jira customers shipped faster when they added Confluence. And I think integrating those two closer can make you ship even faster. So yeah, that's what I want to show you, some maybe more practical ways of doing this, although I think making systems flow smoother is also a bit like motivational to at least to the users. Without further ado, my name is Dario. I'm from Cybert. We're based in Wiesbaden. We're an Atlassian Platinum Solutions partner since 2009 and also a marketplace partner. We have a few cool marketplace apps that we can show you. The biggest one is Draw.io, but we also have several other ones. I'll show you a couple now in the presentation. So first thing I wanted to ask, how many of you use both Jira and Confluence? Most of you, it looks like. So we explored like how many ways there are to connect these tools. Are there any guesses to how many ways there are? Yeah, pretty much, I think. We found 20 that are like straightforward ones, kind of like more native ways to do it. And out of those 20, we found like 10 that we thought were the most modern and intuitive ones. So my goal to show you this is to show you things that anyone pretty much can apply today if you're not doing it already. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways. And also if you code, you can make some cool middleware, connecting APIs, making scripts. Yeah, but these are the more straightforward ones that I will show you. So what's the benefit of this? First of all, you can save time compared to all other doc solutions, pasting things back and forth. It lets you stay in sync. These integrations update live, so that's good to stay, that you're looking at the latest information. It allows you to cut out busy work, so you have live synced Jira issues and tables, for example, in Confluence. And you can also interact with this like you would natively in Jira. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, eliminates copy-pasting, manual status, looking for basically context switching. And ultimately, this allows you to collaborate more effectively. Plans and progress sit side by side. And this gives you more immediate context about the other side. I divided this into two parts. First is how to get your Jira data into Confluence, and then how to get your Confluence information into Jira. So the first thing I wanted to show you is how you can display Jira content inside Confluence. The most straightforward way, which you might know already, is you can paste the Jira URL into your Confluence document. Then you get this nice little embed, which you can adjust, and depending on how much space on the page you want to use or how much information you want, you can select that. And you can also paste whole tables using the Jira URL of a table, and you'll get that right in Confluence. Alternatively, you can go to the edit mode of Confluence, and you can type / Jira work items, and that's like a macro for getting an issue table. Good thing with this, it's a live status update, and you can filter options for tables, which enable you to do basically easy reporting also to people that aren't involved in the work in Jira, maybe on a daily basis. It's a bit tricky to search for Jira issues in the macro if you have like a lot of issues especially. And also if you're gonna do some complex filters for that table, it does require a bit of JQL knowledge. Then displaying a dashboard with a smart link. Let's say you're a support lead and you're doing a weekly ops review. People ask you how many tickets are open, how are we doing, how are we meeting our SLAs. Here's where you can paste, for example, the service desk dashboard right into Confluence. And you basically have the questions answered before they are asked. You can also do this, you can do it for the whole dashboard, or you can take just a part of it, like a chart or a table, and you can just paste it right into Confluence as well. So this is good because it gathers the metrics in one place, makes them more visible. The bad thing is your page may load slowly if you have a lot of these dashboards. And also there is some limited visualization, limited charts, limited ways you can connect the data, but there's also apps that can help you out with that, as we have just seen. Then you can display a timeline, again with a smart link. So basically a link you paste from Jira into Confluence. Let's say you're a content manager and you have your content plan for the next quarter. People ask you when does these assets need to be ready. So you can just show every blog, every social video post and have the questions answered before they are asked. Yeah, it makes it easy to stay up to date, and the bad thing is that timelines tend to be long horizontally, and Confluence is like, yeah, it's not the most intuitive experience when you have to scroll that way, but it works. And also viewers need Jira access to actually see the timeline. So that's something to be aware of. Then we come to the next part, which is how you can create Confluence pages directly from Jira. The big benefit of this is that it eliminates context switching. It encourages early documentation for your Jira tickets where you need like additional context. And it helps you build workflows for documenting your tasks. So for parts of your works that you know that will be needed. So you can create a Confluence page from a Jira ticket using the add menu inside the ticket. And if you do that, you get like this editor, which you can create the page. And all the linked pages can also be edited directly while you're in Jira. So you don't have to jump back and forth. You have to be in full screen mode to do it. And you have to remain, the issue has to be open for you to be editing. Yeah, one example, if you're doing a marketing campaign, you can start detailed planning already while you're creating the task. Biggest drawback of this is that it's a totally manual process. You can also do this with automation. You can set a condition for when you want a Confluence page to be created. Then you put an action to create the Confluence page, and you can specify where that new page is created. Yeah, this could be helpful for several use cases where you always need to document it in Confluence. Let's say, for example, bug reports could be a useful one for many. Sometimes these don't work for several reasons. There's like page permissions, there's space keys, which is easy to mix up, there's plan quota limits, and so on. So maybe you've been confronted with this screen at some point already. These are very versatile. You can do a lot of different automations, and the good thing, less manual effort for you and your team. But you need to be at least project admin to create these, and yeah, remember that there's like a cap on how many automations you can have, although it's quite generous on the more, like on standard and premium. Then we have an app at Cybert, which is called AutoPage. And this allows you to create Confluence pages that are like pre-populated with content from your Jira issues in quite a standardized, predictable way. So it works like you see here on the screenshot. You set a trigger, and when you want the issue to be created, no, sorry, that can be the trigger. For example, an issue is created or updated, and you can configure it to happen at the exact point when you need it, and then you set your actions for it to be created. You can see in the screenshot here more or less how it works. So you have these fields, you use a template in Confluence, and then these fields become populated with the Jira issue. So that can be really useful for certain workflows. Here's the example of a bug report, which I mentioned earlier. Yeah, keeps everything in sync for you, fully automated, and yeah, it's available on cloud and data center. So a bit limited with the fields. It's not all of them that are available. The last point is around creating Jira issues from Confluence. So there's a few ways to do this. Atlassian has been innovating here. They have this way that you can highlight text in Confluence, and then you can right-click to create a Jira issue. Maybe some of you already done that. And they have this toggle at the upper right, which is for activating AI. And then you get AI-generated summary and description from the page. You still need to like enter the other fields, but yeah, it can make your workflow faster for sure. And they also have a way to make multiple, like bulk issue creation. For that, you need to put things into a table. And if you mark any text on a table, you get the option to create multiple issues. This can also use AI. You can map the fields, like which of the columns go where. Although I noticed if you update the page, these mappings seem to go away. So yeah, some drawbacks of it, but it works quite good. And to map the fields, you use the configure. It's not here on the screenshot, but there's a little configure button under the project name. Yeah, and also if you do this, you get smart links that are appearing right in the rows in the Confluence table, which is pretty neat. It's fast and efficient, and you don't need to switch apps. It can feel a bit rigid because your content kind of needs to be structured in a specific way for you to put it into Jira issues. Also, I don't know about you, but when things are generated with AI, especially if you're making a lot of Jira tasks, let's say, you kind of need to do a little double check. And this is like, it's easier than doing it from scratch, but still, it requires a little bit of mental effort. Cybert also has an app to create Jira issues from Confluence. This works in a way that you create little buttons that you configure what it is that you would like them to do in terms of how you want to create an issue. And this allows you to build repeatable workflows that you can include, for example, in your Confluence templates. So you can have these buttons in Confluence where the ticket is already routed to the right place and has the right issue type and more. Yeah, and this allows you to think more in terms of workflows. It's not as efficient as AI that it populates everything for you, but you know what to expect. So there's a lot of workflows where this might be important, either because you're working, let's say, in a regulated industry or just because you want that predictability. It really makes it like less cognitive load when you're creating an issue. You know it starts off at the right place. You don't have to double check because it's not AI, but something that you set up yourself. Yeah, so the pre-configuration is a useful thing and kind of brings more structure to the issue creation that you do from Confluence. Can be very useful for meeting notes if you want to just track the tasks, for example, in a meeting. That's kind of what the first screenshot here is showing. You can have a cross-functional team, marketing, sales, product, and they all have the different buttons so that you know that the tickets are routed to the right place. Other pages, project home pages, for example, in Confluence, can be good use cases. Consistency is the main advantage here, which can make it faster because you don't have that cognitive load each time you create a ticket, or at least not to the same level. Also here, the drawback is that there's a bit limitations in what fields you can pre-configure. And lastly, you have the option to create Jira issues via automation in Confluence. It works similar as the opposite case. So you set a when trigger, for example, when a task is created in Confluence or when a page with a specific label is created, then you create a Jira issue. And you can configure everything, and yeah, also you can route tickets where they should go, and you can really customize this. Again, would advise to test your automation after you made it because of the errors that can happen. So refresh your Confluence page, then you can see the smart link appearing, and it should come automatically, and then you know that it's working. Yeah, super versatile space. You can do it as a space admin. Again, it's a bit more rigid, let's say, than just using, for example, viable issues, or if you're creating a single issue, you kind of have to think in terms of workflows there. Yeah. So initially, here today, it was said that the future of work will be having the information you need when you need it. And I think these integrations can help with that. I also think that Atlassian's new AI search is really great. However, it still requires you to think what you want to search for in order to find what you're looking for. So this type of integrations is kind of more automatic way to give the users relevant context without spending any cognitive resources. So until AI can read our minds, which might not be that far in the future, I think linking relevant data in Jira and Confluence like this will help your team collaborate better.